In today's episode, we have Maria Luque, who is a talent investor at Entrepreneurs First and who is based in London. Maria, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Juanma. Thank you so much. And to give you a quick intro about myself, I'm from Cordoba in Spain, but I came to the UK 9 years ago. And yeah, now I'm a talent investor at Entrepreneurs First. I'm really excited to help people move from Spain to the UK.
All right. Happy to have you in the podcast because the story of how we met, it was only a couple of weeks ago. I was visiting a friend in London, and only after 5 minutes talking with you, I was convinced that I needed to bring you to the podcast. It was like, okay, what are you doing? It sounds so interesting. So, can you can you give us a bit of detail on what are you doing? What is a talent investor at Entrepreneurs First?
Yeah, for sure. So it's a bit of a mixture between talent and investing. So we basically invest in exceptional individuals before they have a startup and they come to EF. We call Entrepreneurs First EF to find your co-founder, find an idea, and create a global tech company that otherwise wouldn't exist if you hadn't met your co-founder at EF.
All right. So you choose from the best brains in the game right now. Well, it's also not only choosing, but also searching for them, right? You need to scout this talent and then convince them to bring them into your company and find like-minded peers to found their startup.
Yeah, so they don't have to find like-minded peers. So that's our job. We bring the people that are exceptional and like-minded and they want to start a startup. But yeah, half of my job is finding that people to build a cohort to start and for during 3 months. And then you spend the next 3 months investing in them and talking to them and helping them figure out like what's the next best step in order to build a huge global tech company.
All right. And when you say a huge global tech company, are you specializing in any area, in any industry?
No, it's obviously easier to scale a technology company rather than if you're selling something physical. But however, we invest in the people themselves. So if we think that these people have a huge potential to build something huge, we take them before they are great founders and we make them great founders. And if they keep pivoting, surely at the beginning you will have to pivot because that's how a startup works. We don't really we're open. You can do whatever you want. We're investing in you.
Wow. Okay, so you invest in skills, as you said, or mindset or frameworks, not on ideas, because they don't have any idea, right? When you approach them.
Yeah, they don't have any specific ideas, but they do have strong opinions and a shared belief of how the world is going to change in the next 5 years. And within that shared belief, what are your hunches? Where do you think you can start? Like, what is your wedge into making that belief come true? And then within that wedge, you can start then thinking of ideas to validate and invalidate, speak to the customers. And that's how we frame our framework, kind of.
Okay. It sounds so interesting and at the same time so difficult because how do you find these people? How do you find people without having something specific to search for?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's quite difficult. There's a book called Talent by Tyler Cowen that talked about this a lot. It's about how do you find talent. You start usually with a talent thesis. So, given my experiences, I studied AI in Edinburgh. I was funded by DeepMind, and I met a really good group of people that were highly ambitious, and they had so much agency, like they would just do stuff without someone having to tell them.
All right.
I think that's the main difference between a founder and, for example, an engineer. An engineer gets given a problem and you have to figure out how to solve it. And a founder has to figure out the problem to start with. And the people that have agency and just get stuff done, they will figure out the problems way faster. And just putting yourself in those groups, you get to meet people and you form kind of a bubble. And then as an investor, you take a step back and you think, okay, where can I find these people that have a lot of agency and strong opinions about the world? And then you
And
find
where
them
is it? And where is it?
everywhere. It's everywhere. From people that are attending loads of hackathons and winning hackathons to people who are building their own apps in their free time to people who are contributing to open source intelligence. There's this thing called OSINT, to which a lot of people contribute to. These people are changing the world, but sometimes they're a bit more quiet, so you have to dig deep into the computer, I guess. I either go to LinkedIn. I don't really focus on people that post a lot because some people are more interested in building a personal brand rather than actually building some like a company. So it really depends. I usually focus on their work rather than on how they sell themselves.
Okay, I understand. I see your job as really tough to find people. So if we, let's say, if we twist it, if we go to the opposite way, how can someone stand out as a candidate for you?
That's a great question. I usually love people who get in front of impressive, influential people in this world. For example, I met someone who was the founder's associate at Asteroid, and he spoke to Tom Blomfield when he went to San Francisco, who was one of the founders of Monzo. He just messaged him. He messaged him and was like, "Hey, I'm going to SF. I'd love to grab a coffee." So many people just think that that's impossible, and but in reality these are still people. You can just shoot them a message on LinkedIn. Like if you want to speak to Matt Clifford here in the UK, you just shoot him a message, and not that many people do that, so I'm sure he'll be happy to chat to you. And just, I love those kind of people, and I usually look for people who put themselves in the most uncomfortable positions and just get out of their comfort zone.
So people that are proactive and don't have any fear of rejection, let's say, and at the same time who have a really technical background and do things, do stuff, do
Yeah.
complicated stuff.
Yeah. They don't necessarily have to have a very technical background, but they do obviously have to have an understanding. The world is changing so fast, so much that you do have to have an understanding of what's going on, what's next, and how this change is going to change humanity.
Okay. And I guess your main source of talent would be universities, right? Where these hackathons are happening.
Also, great question. We do a lot of university work, yes, because people during university, they're doing the traditional career path of learning a subject that you signed up for, but also a lot of things on the side. You're running a society, or you're creating loads of events and organizing and bringing great speakers. These people usually are, some of them, power hungry, and they're just at the beginning of their careers, and they're not credible at that point because they haven't really built their empire yet, but they are huge potential. And yes, that's exactly where we start. We take people before they are great founders, so when they have the potential to build something huge. So universities are a great source of talent. However, it highly depends, because I believe that the best mixture to build a company is a co-founding team, one that usually has a bit more experience and has seen what's possible, how you should do things, how the structure should go a little bit, and one who is, I like to call them delusional, but positively delusional, because someone who knows that something can't be done is just not even going to try. But someone who has no idea that it can't be done, and you have the dream that you want to
Yeah.
do this, you will just keep trying and failing and trying, and eventually you will find a way out. So I believe a mixture of both is the best combination.
All right. I see the job that you're doing, and I wonder, I mean, it's super important to have the right eye for talent and for potential, because at some point, if you don't find the right talent but you keep betting for the wrong talent, you don't have a business, right? As a company, because you also need to make money. It's not only betting on people; it's also at some point getting the rewards. So in this matter, how does it work? What can a candidate expect when signing or joining EF? How does it work?
So the details are outlined on the website for anyone who wants. But eventually you apply. Less than 1% actually get in. It's highly competitive, and they go through a very thorough process of interviewing and some kind of selection process where we put everyone together in a room, and they have to quickly come up with problem space to validate for 2 days. And then if you get accepted into the program, we usually aim to have between 40 and 60 founders, where around 2/3 are technical and they can actually build a product, and 1/3 is more commercial and you're more commercially minded of how to make money from this thing that your CTO is going to build. We
Yep.
want a pair of CEO, CTO. You get, it depends on the location. So you can do this in Bangalore, in London, or in San Francisco. And just now we opened the bridge, which is the bridge from Europe to SF. So you can also come from Europe and go to a castle and live in a castle for 2 months. Or in London, for example, which is where I work, you get £6,000 to survive these 3 months, especially for rent in London.
Hmm.
And by the end of the 3 months, we expect you to have found your co-founder. I mean, this is an expectation, but in reality, you do whatever you have to do. So you find your co-founder, you have a shared belief of how the world's going to change, you have hunches that you want to validate and invalidate. Invalidating is also progress. And
Hmm.
once you figured out a problem that is actually a hair on fire problem, not just something that people might want to buy, you pitch that idea to us, to Entrepreneurs First, as your investor in the investment committee. We invest in the best and send them off to San Francisco with some money to spend the next 3 months building, talking to customers, and just growing your company. And at the end of the 3 months in San Francisco, there's a huge demo day where you pitch in front of all of the Bay Area investors and you raise a
Wow.
seed round and then you keep going. And throughout the first 3 months, we're helping you, not hand holding directly, but we are guiding you as to what's the best possible place to do. We don't directly tell you what to do. Obviously, you have to figure out yourself. It's going to be your company, but we advise on from your options, which do we think is best.
I see. It's a good explanation. I think it was clear to me. What is coming to mind is, I mean, the amount of problems and the amount of solutions that you see, it's like you're living 5 years ahead. It's like you already know what's happening in the next 5 years. So the first question that comes to mind is, how do you get into this position? How do you get to be a talent investor in this industry?
Yeah, it's a really interesting job and you can't get it anywhere else. It's not your typical consulting job or engineer job that you get anywhere else.
No, it's
This
not.
job doesn't exist anywhere else. The way I came across it was because I did EF myself as a founder. This time last year, I was headhunted by some talent investors at Entrepreneurs First. I did the program and I realized actually what I really like is being in this environment and being a generalist about everything that's going on in the world and how startups are going to change everything and meeting all of these people. So I decided to switch. That was my case. But for someone who hasn't actually done EF, I would suggest just shooting a message to someone who works at Entrepreneurs First. Honestly, it's my favorite way of building agency.
Mhm.
Chat to people, put yourself out there, and be very interested in what's going on right now, how tech is going to change, who is driving that change, how much money is needed, how can you contribute. That would
Yeah.
be the best
Be
in my.
curious and ask good questions, right? That you demonstrate that you did the work and that you are really interested. Like it's not only a job, like it's not only money you're after. It's a purpose. You're purpose driven or curiosity driven, let's say.
Yeah, actually, I used to be an engineer for the past 4 years. I've always been a data and machine learning engineer in the crypto and cybersecurity spaces. And I used to earn quite a lot of money. And then it was great. I learned a lot. But when I came to this job, it's the first job or the only job that I've done where I feel like I have a huge impact on the world. I could potentially be shooting a message to someone on LinkedIn, being like, hey, I saw your profile. I thought it was really impressive because you did this. I found something that this person did. And then would you be up for a coffee? That's all I do. Like go for coffees with people, coffee chat. We call them coffee chats, and just be very curious about everyone's life. And that person, 6 months later, has raised a 3 million seed round and is building a huge company that is growing at an exponential rate. And that was all my LinkedIn message or the time I spent looking at this person's profile. So yeah, I feel like I do have a huge impact and it really fills me up.
It sounds like a dream job, absolutely. And I can also see it from your face when you're speaking about it, that you are truly happy about it. Because indeed, you get to meet a lot of interesting people, you get to understand complex ideas and how the world is going to change. And at the end, you also get to directly impact into people because you're really bringing up solutions that wouldn't be possible without you. So, the first question, the next question that comes to mind is, in terms of education, how can someone find good education in these fields? Because I guess a lot of what you're doing is in artificial intelligence, a lot of certifications, a lot of not only entrepreneurial things, but also education that you're looking for, as you were mentioning, universities. So, how to find people with the right education to do this?
Yeah, this is a tough one. So I'm on two sides of the coin. On one hand, I think that some people just want to have the certificates and the labels in order to say, I've done this. And that's the traditional career path that everyone decides to take. And surely some people undervalue how important it is to actually go to a good university, not because of what you actually learn. It's mostly the people you surround yourself with,
Mm,
the people that you meet, the professors that guide your education, the people that you're surrounded with will hugely impact. I mean, this is very cringe and typical, but you are the average of the five people you spend the most time with. And if you're spending time with people who worked really hard already to get into that university, you can already tell that they're going to be really hardworking, ambitious, and they're going to do something great.
yeah, I fully agree. I don't think it's a cliche. If
Yeah.
you hang around with five drunk people, you will be the sixth. And if you hang around with five entrepreneurs, you will be the sixth as well.
Yes. For example, I did my master's in AI, and from that group of friends, half have their own startup, and the other half are doing PhDs and incredible research, frontier AI research, which goes through my head by now. On the other hand, I don't necessarily think that it is needed for whatever impact you want to have. You make your own path. If you want to learn, there are so many online free resources that will allow you to learn for free. So, you masters right now, for example, they're expensive, and they're expensive for your network. And there's loads of scholarships that will help you. I think scholarships are a great way to go to university, and because you don't have to spend all the money, at least in the UK from now on, after Brexit, if you want to come from Spain, the cost is going to be really high. Was 15K when I did it before Brexit, and I didn't even have to pay for it because I had the DeepMind scholarship. But now it's 55K,
Wow.
and that's just so much money for 1 year. And I think it's worth it because it really changed my life. But at the same time, if all you want to do is learn, if you don't want to be surrounded by those people, you can do so much more online for free and get to the same place I was when I finished my master's. A lot of founders dropped out of university, like Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. They didn't finish uni. They barely even started. And look at
Yeah,
what they built, the empire that they built. So it's a mixture of both, I'd say.
I see. I like your answer because I also think in a similar way about universities. It's not only the knowledge that you get, which of course it's a high level knowledge, but today with a lot of resources free, completely free online, the conversation about the price for going to the university and getting it for free online, it's a difficult one. But the networking that you can do at the university, this is difficult to do online, right? It's a different one.
Yeah.
And if we talk about online, this is a question from a friend. This is an actual question from the audience because my friend works in supply chain and he says, I want to get better in AI and I want to learn AI applications into supply chain, but I struggle a lot finding quality education, finding good education in AI because it keeps changing. So every time I look for whatever AI resource, most of the time it's crap. like it's not good. So from your point of view, how to find quality education in AI?
This is actually a question that I also get asked a lot by my own friends.
So it's common.
It's very common. I think AI has brought up a change in education that we haven't really cracked yet. I think schools are panicking because all of the kids are using ChatGPT, when in reality, we don't need to panic. We need to use it to our advantage, and we just haven't really cracked how to do it yet. To be truly honest, the way I would start learning anything right now is with ChatGPT. Just build a baseline of where you're at right now. You can't really do that with the courses that are online. You have to set yourself your own goals and metrics and where you're at right now. And once you know exactly where you're at, then you can look for a more specific course. I think the reason why all of
Mm.
the courses are crap is because you don't choose the right course. And you don't choose the right course because no one tells you what is it from this course that's going to be useful or it's going to be useless. At the same time, some of the stuff that you might think is useless might actually end up being useful in the future. My recommendation is, so I recently had a friend that wants to study the fundamentals of AI for sales, and I sent him to the Google courses. Google has loads of courses online that can get you a certificate if that's what you're looking for. I personally learned on Udemy. A course that actually made me want to go study AI was, I think it was called Machine Learning A to Z by Andrew Ng. Andrew Ng is like the father of AI, and he's so good at explaining the maths behind AI. And you have to learn, sorry, you have to know how to code before that. So I usually suggest both. I would tell everyone to learn how to code because right now with vibe coding, it's so easy to build anything, and it will highly increase your chances of understanding AI to a deeper level. But I think as a baseline, what I would say is talk to ChatGPT, see where you're at, and then ask ChatGPT to give you recommendations of the courses that you should do, YouTube videos, trying Kaggle, for example. There's loads of tasks that you can build in order to build your knowledge. There's many, many ways, and it's very independent. It's very precise for each person. So there's not really a general guidance that I
Okay.
can give people.
You know, now I feel so bad because actually my friend was checking Udemy and my advice was, man, forget about that. Forget about. I told him my advice, of course, I'm not an expert in AI, but the way I approach learning is I always find someone who knows more than me. And I mean, someone that has what I want. And then I follow his or her steps. So my advice to him was, okay, find someone who does AI in supply chain, who is very knowledgeable, and see if that person offers any course or any training, or maybe you can either go on a one-by-one coaching. I don't know, something like that. That would be the best.
Agree.
But yeah, maybe Udemy has good resources, of course.
I mean, they're very affordable and
Mm.
they're very easy to follow through. So, as a starting point, if we're starting from scratch, I would 100% suggest Udemy or any place like that. But I completely agree with your advice as well. Just shoot people a message. Don't be scared of talking to people.
Yeah. I think it's so important to. I mean, 1,000 years ago, if you were born in a village, that's everything you know, right? Like you only know the people around you, and it's difficult for you to step out of that lifestyle, let's say.
Yeah.
But today, that the global world, I mean, the whole world is connected. It's just shooting a message, as you say. And before trying something, you can ask someone who is an expert and might give you 2, 3 useful tips. And then that's it. You already know 90% more you already know 90% of the information to understand if you truly like it or not. And then it's for you to test. But yeah, I think it's so easy today, and still a lot of people are holding themselves back because of fear of rejection or just because they're lazy. I don't know. It was not my case, so I cannot relate to that. But yeah, I like your approach. And
Yeah.
regarding talking with people and networking, one of the things that stood out from your profile when I was checking is that you were the leader of Nova Talent. Nova Talent, I just remember that some episodes ago, women working in marketing mentioned in the episode, she said she use she benefited a lot from Nova Talent. She did a lot of good networking, and that helped her a lot in her career. But I didn't know Nova Talent at that time. So now I have the leader of Nova Talent in London. Tell me, what is Nova Talent and what are its benefits?
So Nova has actually been with me for a long time now, and I can safely say that it has shaped my experience greatly. I started when I was in Edinburgh studying. I met someone who just at parties, and then in the universities we would always see each other working really hard. And a couple of years later, he started working for Nova Talent, and he got back to me being like, "Maria, I think you should join. Nova is a global talent network that is by invitation only. Referrals usually bring the best talent. If you
Okay.
if you pick someone from a good talent network, their connections will likely be as good talent as this person. So it brings the top 3% of every sector and it combines them all together into one global talent network. Um, and yeah, basically, I started in Edinburgh meeting loads of great people during my university, telling them about Nova, creating events to meet everyone there, getting out of your group of friends, meeting new people. And then when I moved to London, I went to a couple of events as well. And wow, the difference is huge from a city a bit smaller, well, way smaller, I guess, than London, that is Edinburgh, to London, where there are so many high quality people, so many events, and also so much noise of events that you just shouldn't go to because most events are free. But with
Mhm.
Nova, because it's pre-selected and you've gone through the process of getting in and you've been referred by someone, the quality of the people is generally quite high. And yeah, I became the city leader. I was the city leader for 2 years. I'm actually not the city leader anymore. But during those times, I was in charge of building the community and organizing the events. Every month, we would go for after work drinks, although not that many people drink anymore. We started doing way more events to learn, to improve your career, to meet people at those positions that you want to get to and hear their stories. And yeah, it's been great. The people I've met at Nova, some of them are my friends that I see on a daily basis, and it really really has changed my experience in the UK.
And what is
Also,
the? Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Also, when I went to San Francisco, my boyfriend lives in San Francisco, and there's because this network is global. I organized an event in San Francisco and met a lot of really cool people there as well. So anywhere you go, you have the safety net of at least you have people from Nova that you can meet everywhere.
Okay. And talking about the process to enter, it's a referral first, and then is there like a test? Is there any application process to enter?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's changed recently because I got in a couple of years ago, but when I started, you need to be referred by someone unless you don't know anyone, then you can apply to join. But surely, if you're good enough to be at Nova, you can find someone who is part of Nova and convince them to invite you. If that's the case, that there's a lot. When I did it, there was a logical test and some interviews. It was just some questions like, what would you do to increase revenue at this point in this company, or I don't know, how do you build a network in a new city? It's just like general attitude test. It was quite fun and enjoyable.
Okay, I see. And for example, I mean, yourself being in the AI world, I guess those kind of tests were very logical, right? But is this network only for tech? Is this network only for this type of industry or also for any other area?
Yeah, it's for any other area. So every year they have a Nova 111 list of winners, and there's a winner per vertical. I think the verticals are like business or marketing or computer science or maths or law, entrepreneurship. There's many different verticals. You can choose if you come in as one. Well, you have to choose a vertical when you come in, but you can be more than one vertical. And then from there on, you can basically access the entire members directory and connect with whoever you want. had so many calls with people from Nova. A lot of them ended up doing entrepreneurs first
Oh well, so
and building
it's a
their own.
good source of talent for you for your job
Yeah,
as well. I see the whole circle now. Like everything is about gathering talent and networking. Indeed, maybe I will ask you to refer me to Nova.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and before we leave the AI knowledge and the AI area, of course, it is the buzzword now, and I want to understand for someone who is starting how to get a job in the AI world.
Oof. The AI world is huge. The possibilities are immense.
Okay,
I
so
would
maybe let's break it down. Let me rephrase. First, what are the main areas inside AI, and then how to get a job inside those areas? Because you're right, it's a big one.
Okay, so as for AI, you can either be a researcher and do frontier tech and try to think of different models. And usually this comes with a PhD, or it comes with companies that their main focus is deep tech and they're trying to build something that hasn't been done yet. Or you can be a more applied AI person, which is usually someone who is a software engineer and has more software skills and basically knows how to use AI and plug and play and put them together for a specific use case. Or there's also people who are more like solution architects or like more salesy people that are speaking to the customers and they are trying to figure out a way how to use the product that you're trying to sell in order to connect it for the specific use case with no code tools for the client. I would say those are like the main three types of applications that you can do with AI.
All right. And how to get a job in those areas?
I would say if we start with the researcher, usually requires a lot of deep understanding. So a PhD is usually useful in this case. Well, useful and required. Your experience doing a PhD will be a huge impact in order to come up with new solutions or build out new use cases or a new data set or a new benchmark. So if you want to do research, I would say you don't necessarily need the software skills or the sales skills. All you need is a deep understanding of the frontier tech. If you want to be more of an applied AI person, you obviously should know how to code, understand software, and be I think you should have it at some clear verticals of where your interests lie. If it's supply chain, if it's um biotech, if it's, I don't know, healthcare, customer success. Once you've chosen two or three paths, check out what jobs you can get as an applied AI engineer, and then build something in that space, build your portfolio, experience what it would be like to do that job on your own. And if you enjoy it, then go apply for it. And if you want to be more on the solutions architect, you should already enjoy talking to people and trying to fix their problems. And I think you should always try to, in this case specifically, you should always try to be very aligned with what your company is trying to achieve. If you highly believe in their mission, then I think you would really enjoy selling and building those projects for your customers. But if it's something that doesn't interest you at all, it's just going to be
Yeah.
difficult to get into and not enjoyable. Also for research, I think you should be really aligned on the mission because it's going to take a long time to build the actual project or product, and you're going to have to be really passionate about it.
Yeah. Thanks for the explanation. I think it's clear. You were mentioning that building your portfolio is a key asset to get a job. It's not anymore just education, it's also showing your portfolio. In that regard, when I was checking your profile, I saw that you also built a portfolio developing apps. I saw one app that finds the best location in London for meeting your friends when your friends are living very far away. So, can you tell us a bit more about the apps you have developed and how they have helped you be in the position you are now?
Yeah, I'm going to start by telling you why I think it's important to build your portfolio. I interview a lot of people that apply to EF, and when people come to me and they tell me, I'm very adaptable, I learn very quickly, those are just claims. I don't care about claims. I care about evidence behind those claims. I can't believe you unless you show me why you say you are that person.
I love
And
it.
the reason, thank you. The reason I built my apps, well, I've always built loads of apps during university because I studied computer science in Edinburgh, and engineering in the UK is very hands-on. So you don't learn for the sake of learning, you learn by doing. You start with a task and an objective, and then you start learning how to get to that objective. And then once I finished university, before I whenever I saw a problem, I just decided to fix it. I didn't wait for anyone else to build it for me. For example, my first I guess viral web page was mariasgames.com. I my Me and my friends love games, and we couldn't really find like truth or dare or never have I ever. No one really comes up with these things on the spot, so I just decided to build an app for it. And every month my cloud compute hours are used to its limit. So it's quite fun to see. And then I just started developing other apps. One of my coworkers at Elliptic, Nima, gave me this idea of finding the central meeting spot for people in London. I think that's the thing that I hate the most about London. I love London, but it just takes so long to get anywhere, especially if all of your friends are scattered around the east, west, north, south. And when you're five people, it's difficult to decide on a place that is going to be convenient for all of you, especially because sometimes that might not be the geographical center point. It's really dependent on the transport. If there's a tube connection, if there's a bus. So we build this huge data set of connections, how long it takes to go from every point to every other point, and then build this website. And there's a surprising amount of people using it every month. Every time I check the page, I didn't even market this app. I just built it for the sake of learning how to be a full stack engineer, to be honest. But yeah, I think these are the things that allowed me to get into EF as a founder. So I would say I'm full stack. Why? Or I have agency. Why? Well, I saw this problem. I didn't wait for anyone else to solve it. I just learned how to do it myself, and I did it.
Yeah, you have a pragmatical approach. You see a real problem and you develop a real solution. It's not just
Yeah.
doing the talking or selling the solution, it's being hands on.
Yeah. That's also what makes a great founder. One of the big errors that I see at Entrepreneurs First is falling in love with the solution without actually validating that this is an actual problem. Yeah, my advice would be just find a problem, fix it.
Okay, I like it. I wanted to ask you about the main skills for your job, but I think it's so clear. We have been talking about them. One piece that is important when talking about skills is languages. I know that specifically in the tech sector, English is commonly accepted across every country. So would you say languages a part of English, of course, which I mean for me it's mandatory if you want to work internationally. A part of English, would you say languages add a plus?
I'm gonna have to say no. I wish, like, I want to say yes because I learned French during school. I went to German classes. My mom made me go to German classes for a long time. And the reason I love languages is because it helps you understand so many more different cultures. And it's an icebreaker when you meet people, just to shoot a couple of sentences that you remember from that language. But for my professional career, it might just be the fact that I'm living in the UK and the main language is English. But I personally, with Spanish and English, I live very comfortably and I don't need any other language.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course, in the UK, that's it with English. Feedback I've received from people here in Zurich that are working here in the tech industry is that it is getting more and more competitive. So, depending on the place you are applying, you might be required, or maybe not required, but it will be a huge asset to speak the local language. And I was impressed. I was shocked. Like, okay, you're programming, you're developing, and they ask you for the local language, and they say yes, because it's not only about doing the job, it's also about engaging with your colleagues. And if, let's say, 50% of the colleagues are locals and you cannot have a conversation with them, yeah, maybe they find a candidate that has the same experience as you, same skills, but also speaks the local language.
It's important to get people in your team that will build a culture. When you're building a company, you're also building the culture for the company. And that is also a tip that I always tell people, especially when they come from Spain to the UK. They always tend to stick together. And I always tell them, you came to the UK, you left Spain. So live life as a British person, meet foreigners. It's such an, especially London is such an international city. So yeah, I think it's just the case that I'm in the UK, but I do highly recommend that you don't just surround yourself with Spanish people when you come to the UK, that you open your mind and meet people from all around the world.
Absolutely. I think it's also the best about living abroad. It's meeting other cultures. If you're living in a mini, I mean, Spain or whatever country you come from, mini bubble, it's like you're not living the full experience. You're missing out. I fully agree. And talking about London specifically, you were mentioning that it's super international and it's also full of companies, international companies as well. So if someone wants to move to London today, specifically in your field, in AI, what is your advice?
It's tough. It's tough right now, post Brexit, because you will have to find a company that will sponsor your visa. And you can't just buy the visa yourself. My advice would be either find a wedge to the UK that could be doing something in education that gives you a student visa, and then you can get a job from there if you're early in your career, or work really hard to meet people at companies that will pay for your visa. In order for them to pay for your visa, you have to stand out. Why would they hire you when they can hire someone in the UK and they don't have to pay a visa? So make sure that you talk to the people that you have to talk to, ask them, what do you need to show in order to get this job? And then build those skills, either soft skills or the portfolio. You should be ready to work really hard to find a job in the UK.
Hmm. Okay. And is there any specific CV format or any specific tip that you would say avoid this during the application process? Normally in the UK they don't like this, or do this in the application process.
I know a main difference between Spain and the UK is that you don't add a photo to your in the
Hmm.
UK. I would say the format, you no, not really specific. I think as long as you show agency and evidence that you are the best candidate for this job, I wouldn't say there's any specific format of CV that you have to use.
Okay. All right. And then we come to the juicy part. We talk about money, and not only money actually, because recently I have received comments saying it's great to understand salary ranges in cities, but what can you make out of that salary? What is the cost of life? And it makes total sense. So now I ask about salary range and also about cost of life. So first, what is the salary range that someone can expect in London in the AI field, let's say with 5 years experience?
Oh, with 5 years of experience, I wouldn't settle for under 90K.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's just me because when I was an engineer, I was on around 70, and that I lived very comfortably with that. And that was 4 years of experience. Now with five, I would never go down. I would always go up. So, and because I was lucky enough to have a high paying job in London, I would go for 90. But I guess the salaries would range between 50 up to 200. In startups, especially, they pay so much money. You will have to work a lot. This is now the 996 mentality, like 9 to 9 a week.
6 days a
Um,
week. Yeah.
yeah, Saturdays are normal working days, but the salaries are very, very high paying. Like I know, for example, there's this new AI recruiting company called Jack and Jill that it came from Entrepreneurs First, where they're paying so much money to their founding engineers. And startups are usually keen to pay visas. I think it's cheaper for smaller companies to pay the visa, so I would highly recommend to go for it.
All right. Thanks for sharing the range. And now, what can you make out of it in London? For example, what is the cost of a one bedroom apartment in a good but not luxury area? What is the price of a regular coffee in a regular cafe, not something super expensive, and a normal lunch menu at an average restaurant?
I would say a one bedroom apartment in London would be around £2,000 a month, but that's something that people don't usually do. Right now, for example, I live in a two-bedroom apartment with my boyfriend and another couple. So it's £3,000 a month plus bills. Bills are never included in your rent. Well, usually not included in your rent price. And this is a quite very nice area, somewhat central. And I guess I pay around for a room. I've never paid less than 1,000, except for now that we're sharing. But
Okay,
I would never pay more than £1,700 a month.
I see.
Um, yeah, and the price of a coffee, I would say it's around £450. This is all converted to euros, is a bit more, but in pounds, yeah,
Yeah.
450, especially if it's iced latte, it's always 450. And what really strikes me is the price of beer. You will never pay less than 650, for example, for a beer in central London.
So that's €9, something like that, right?
Yeah, 9
Okay.
euros. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
gonna spend, if you drink beer, be ready to
Drinking
spend.
alcohol is not cheap, yeah. All right. I see. And then talking about life abroad. Now it's time to get a bit more deeper on life abroad and how that changes someone as a person. So, in your case, how has living abroad changed the person you are?
I think I left my parents' house and I became an adult. I became independent very fast because there are so many opportunities here in the UK. And the people that I met just made me grow exponentially. I think in Spain sometimes we live in a bit of a bubble because it's such a good life, genuinely, such good people and very hardworking people, but it's very similar. Everyone's very similar. And that's why we love it so much. However, when you leave that country and you see how other cultures live, how they go out, how what they eat, you just experience something that you've never experienced before. And the mentality is different. So one of my friends here who quit her jobs, like she changed her jobs 3 times in a year, and everyone in Spain was like freaking out. Like, what are you doing? How are you gonna find another job? And she was so chill. You don't have to worry about that here. Like, she's literally gonna find another job in a week. So I think that mentality is just different. In Spain, you have to go through the more safer route
Yeah.
of this is my degree, this is what I'm gonna apply for, and this is the job I want. In here is more like serendipity. I want to do this now. Maybe in 6 months I want to do something completely different and I'm gonna try. And it's just a different speed, I would say. In Spain, time slow down and it feels like you have time. In here, it's like move, move, move. There's no time. You have to be doing something different or something very cool all the time. Who the person that I am today, and that's how I became who I am by leaving the country.
I like the answer. And it's something that I didn't think about, which is true. In some places, being able to change, being able to do something new is not as judged as in others. And you're right. In Spain, maybe a lot of people will talk about your experience if you do something completely different. It's like, this is not the person you are. Why are you doing this? But abroad, I mean, not abroad everywhere, but in some countries or cities specifically, this is like this is just normal, as you said, like serendipity. Okay, now I'm gonna change. Now I'm gonna try this, and you will always find people who are doing that in groups that you can join. I like the answer.
Yeah.
And let's say you had a friend who is doubting now about moving abroad. What would you say?
Um, I would say get out of your comfort zone, stop overthinking, and just do it. There are so many companies now that are there to help you move out For example, my brother is 16 years old and he wants to go to Delft to study, and there's a company that will plan that entire trip for you. And I'm like, you're just overcomplicating yourself. Like, it's not that hard. Get online, figure out where you're going to live, figure out what you want to do, talk to people there. Just do it. The only thing stopping you are your mental blockers.
Absolutely, yeah. You also have podcasts like mine where people talk about living abroad. So, yeah, it's not a secret anymore. It's really just being proactive and having the guts to do it. I agree. Now, before we finish the podcast, I always ask 3 quick final questions that also need 3 quick answers. The first one is your favorite local food.
Oof, local food in London is not a thing unless you want to go for fish and chips or a Sunday roast. So I'm actually going to say Spanish food. There's a restaurant that I love called El Ganso in Broadway Market. Delish.
All right. The second one is one book that you recommend.
The Charisma Myth.
From who?
I don't remember.
Okay, we'll check it out later. And the last one is the best advice you ever received.
Set yourself goals. Otherwise, you're just on automatic.
All right.
Like
That's
every year. Every year, set yourself, I want to earn this much. I want to read this many books. I want to make X amount of new friends. I want to learn X new different cultures. Otherwise, you're just living without reading.
okay. Like be specific about what you want
Yeah.
and have a calendar or have a plan to
Yeah.
execute it. Okay, I like it. Yep. All right. That was it. Thank you very much, Maria. It was a great
Thank
interview,
you.
full of tips.
Thank
Thank you
you,
for being
Juanma.
here.
It's really fun.
If you enjoyed this conversation, follow me and share it with that friend who wants to move abroad. And if you're listening on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts, please like and rate the show with 5 stars. It helps me a lot more than you think. Thank you very much and see you on the next one.